So I'm so glad you could join us for another edition of Unleashing Kingdom Voices. You know, you got to unleash the voice. Those in the podcast don't see that my microphone was way over here. I'm really excited just to share a brief interview that I had with Lisa Vanderkwaak, a renowned coach and speaker coach, and just share a little bit of that. And then afterwards, I'd like to share an opportunity for you to join Michelle Tufford and myself in a special speaking uh, feature that you just have to be a part of our group to take advantage of that. So without further ado, I'll leave you on to Lisa on her show interviewing me about speaking and about the recent Kim 10. So I hope you enjoy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to today's episode. You are in for a treat today because today's guest is a voice revivalist. What do you think about that? Hi, Theresa.
Hey, Lisa. So awesome to be with you. What an honor.
It's always so fun to connect with you. You are an amazing individual, and I'm so blessed to know you and get to know you and to have worked with you in the last couple of years. And just so people know a little bit about you, you are a radio host and voice revivalist. Maybe tell us a little bit about what that means when you talk about that.
Well, when I say a voice revivalist, it's something God told me at the beginning of the year, and I'm like, okay. But basically, I have such a passion to help women or men, but really women who are in trauma, who feel voiceless. So we help them find their voice to create impact. That impact, I believe, is improving their financial situation and in growing in community. So I do that with my podcast, my speaking, and coaching on that's the side. But after 18, I was at this radio station when in the beginning of my journey, and after 18 years, they just recently have hired me back. It's kind of surreal because I raised my babies on this station. Thinking it was radio, they couldn't see me breastfeed them. So it's just, it's a part-time job that I absolutely love because it allows me to do some other work. I'm partnering with an amazing neurocycle facilitator in a revival of the mind and your finances. So, it gives me time. Like I was at the radio station this morning and zipped back home. And so I'm just
so
blessed,
cool.
really
so
blessed.
Good. Now, where are you coming in from? What state are you in?
I'm just outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, you are? Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't realize that. Awesome. I love Georgia.
Yeah. Great.
Some good friends who live there. So today I wanted to have you come on for this series. We're doing this series on the Kim 10 Certified Speaker Series, and you are one of the very few we've had. Okay, well, last year was our first time going through it for the Kingdom Speaker Academy. We had 150 people go through it. Wow. And at that time, 22 people went through the certification, which is the in-person coaching, professional video, all that. This year we ran it again, and you came back for a second time. So you're a double certified Kim 10 speaker. So before we get into talking about why you did that and what was the impact it had on you, let me just give a little rundown here for those who are listening who've never heard about this before. Our Kingdom Speaker Academy is part of the Kingdom Alliance, which is a faith-based organization that provides Christ-centered resources for men and women who want to become everything that God has called you to be, wherever he is, and so to equip and train you. So we have a 9-week Kingdom Speaker Academy. It's a training in how to create a concise message, a clear message in 10 minutes. It's called Kim 10, Kingdom Impact Message in 10 minutes. So if you know the TED Talk world, similar to TED Talk, but more coming from a faith-based community. And we like to say around here, move over, Ted, because Kim is taking center stage, and we're going to take over the world right now.
Amen. Speak it well.
So in this training, there's the option for people to go on and become certified as a speaker in this Kim 10, and that means in person. And you came back for a second time. So before we get into talking about, all the impacts like that, I want to know why you decided to come back for a
Sure.
second time, because you've already gone through this
Yeah.
certification process.
Speaking of TED Talk, I sent an email to Michelle Schaefer. I said, last November and December, this guy was trying to get me so hard to get me on the TEDx stage, and I just didn't have a piece about it. And he kind of, just last night, he sent me another text about it. So why did I come back? Well, listen, anytime you're a speaker, let's say it's just in your DNA, but you're working it through. Anytime you get a chance to speak on a stage, and especially this stage, you got to jump on it, because I knew I was going to get coached by 4 amazing coaches. I knew last year I was just my Kim 10 was kind of all over the place. I said I threw up, meaning the basis of my Kim 10 is about winning the war on your voice.
Mm.
And it had to do with my husband. So I kind of threw up on him last year. And I just want to continue to talk on that subject of winning the war on my voice, but this time a little more clarity, less drama, because I'm over the drama of the trauma. I mean, I'm in therapy. I'm getting healing. I want to speak from a scar, not an open wound. So I'm trying to go slow too, because I get so excited. And next thing, I leave talking.
So good, Theresa. Yeah, and I just want to say that I love the fact that when you came back the second time, it was the same message, but you were refining it. You were
Mhm.
bringing it into a sharper focus, and I actually love that, because I
Yeah,
believe that when you tap into a core message, you want to do that. You want to master it in a way that this becomes your signature. You might talk
exactly.
on other subjects and little offshoots, but I just love that, because now you
Yeah,
can go that much more deeper. And I
sure.
I mean, I noticed a difference from the first year to the second year,
Yeah,
even as you did your first draft, or your first day
yeah.
run through. But what was it like for you? What were some of the takeaways for you going through that the second time?
Well, I learned so much. I think that one takeaway was pacing yourself with your material to the point where you sit in the laughs, you sit in the mms and ahs. And that third day, when we had more of a live audience, when the event, I absolutely loved that. I felt so comfortable, but the feedback that you're hearing, someone laughing, someone, oh, that's good, it actually helps you. So and then, I really drained you guys. I always do. We have 4 coaches and we have the practice day. I'm just up there asking questions. I'm draining it for everything it's worth.
I wouldn't call you draining us. You were actually maximizing the time that
Yes.
was allotted to you. You're like, I'm gonna squeeze out every
We're
bit.
going to squeeze out of you
I
guys.
love that.
But, here I am in front of Lisa, Molly Trotter, Michelle Schaefer, and Shay Bynes. And each of them, had something to say. Lisa, you said something. Can I share what you said? I ended in a way, and you said, "Well, that's okay, ending, but we didn't get those points in the midst of your talk." So that night, I'm lying in bed, and it's like, okay, good news is on your lips. That can go to point 1, and freedom is your story. Okay, that can go to point 2. Rescue is your mission. Okay, I'll put it on point 3. So it's like I took that little piece of knowledge that was huge, really, and it actually felt more comfortable putting those phrase words
Mm.
into my 3 points. So to
Oh,
me, that was gold. I mean, that was gold. And I will tell you, this may sound not good, but I didn't want to listen to too much of the feedback. I knew
mhm.
I have it to store, to refine, because when you make up your mind, you've got something in your head. You just want to fine tune what they give you. On the way home, I listened. I'm like, oh man, I got to write some of this stuff down. This is so good. And especially you, Lisa, you're not afraid to get up on stage with us and say, okay, I'm sorry, I got the direction wrong. This is where you go if you're talking about the past. This is where, just brilliant, brilliant
Mm,
advice that I wouldn't even think of. So I really feel the Kingdom Alliance Speakers Academy is so blessed to have
mm,
you with
mm.
your expertise. They're all good, but I know you're actively working with speakers all the time. So thank you so
Mm.
much.
Well, thank you, Teresa, for that. And I just love, I mean, you are coachable, and I just see that. And and I love that you ask all those questions because it shows me that, you know what, I want to get this. I want to master this. And yeah, there's, you can only make so many changes, so many tweaks at so many
Yeah.
times, and that's okay. But one of the things I was just blown away because okay, so for those who are listening, we had the 2-day certification. Day 1, you do your run through, you get coached. Day 2, okay, showtime. You do your Kim 10, you get professional video footage. And then from the people who went through the speaker certification, we chose 5 people to be on the stage for the live event Kim 10, along with the other keynote speakers. And Teresa, you were one of those that were chosen. And I want to say, first of all, I believe you are, you're hilariously, you're naturally funny, which is not an easy thing to teach
No,
people, right?
right?
And looking at you, I'm like, this woman could be an easy stand-up comedy show. Like really, seriously. I'm like, but one of the things that when you got on the stage on the event on the 3rd day,
Yeah.
I was blown away because I'm like, wow,
Yeah. I think
you,
having a microphone that didn't dangle and about come off really helped me that day.
yeah, distraction for sure, having a distraction. But not only that, there's two
Okay.
things, and you can tell me if this was intentional for you, but your voice was much more resonant and clear. The other thing was the pacing
Mm,
in
yeah.
terms of that, and that made it that much more impactful.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear from you
Okay.
about that, if that was like an intentional or just you felt like, okay, now I'm feeling more comfortable with this message. What was going on for you?
Well, definitely having a microphone, because if I have a microphone, I can work. I don't have to yell, or if I get too high, my voice gets squeaky. But something happened during the Kim 10. I'd love to know the actual Kim 10. I would love to know your advice on this. I've never had this happening in all my speaking. Halfway through the Kim 10, my mouth went completely dry. Now I can look at the Kim 10. I'm like, yep,
Mm,
that's when it happened. So I had to work. And on top of that, the mic kept falling. I had one of those hand
yeah.
mics, guys. If you don't know, they're attached. Probably not the best choice. Thought I was going to do it for my hand motions, but it didn't pick up my voice as well. But as far as the 3rd day, it was just like, this is home. I love being on the stage. This is what I know. God, when I was born, even when I was in my mother's womb, I know He was saying, this is what I want you to be. And it was like after being selected, it's like the confirmation. This, Theresa, is what I want you to be. Now be who I made you to be on the stage. I don't try to be funny. I'm just kind of quirky and the funniness comes out. I do
Yeah.
have funny stories, but that in itself is fun because I think when I was little, I wanted to be discovered as an actor. So maybe that's where the comedian comes in. Oh, I love to ham it up. So
Well, I
I had
think,
so much fun. It really felt like the stage was my living room and I just got to come out and talk to you and tell some stories. But more than anything, hopefully impact you, because I didn't want to focus on the gory story, which I have a gory story in relationship. I really wanted to use that and then pull some keys for you, for that person listening, that they can walk away and say, whoa, oh, Teresa said to say no. Why? Oh, because studies indicate when you say yes to someone, when really it's a no, you lose a part of yourself and you can't trust yourself. That's me. They could say, that's me. Whether they were, remember it word for
yeah,
word.
yeah.
So,
I think you tapped into something, and that's what I observed. I observed that you were having fun, but you felt that much more relaxed.
yeah.
And it was like, okay, you were just kind of settling in. This is my space, and because of that, that showed in your
Yeah.
voice, in your presentation. It just was like I was just like, oh my goodness, she's
Well,
bringing it.
you guys provided a dream come true for someone who loves to speak, especially on a kingdom. It was like, we get to speak tomorrow, Michelle. I was with Michelle Tufford. We get to speak tomorrow, Kim 10. And then the 3rd day, wow, we get to speak again. To me, it's like 3 days in a row getting to be on stage, that's Christmas.
Yes,
I'm just
yes,
loving
it's
it.
so good. So to answer your question with the
Yeah,
dry mouth,
yeah,
a few things happen, could be happening is obviously sometimes it just being liquidated, have enough
mhm.
liquid beforehand, but a lot of times it comes from breathing, uh,
Wow,
mouth breathing.
wow.
So if we breathe and if we're not aware of it, if you even do that, if you do that right now, you can feel the mouth get dry right away.
Okay,
Right? So if we do that a lot, it dries out the mouth. And so by nose breathing, when I say mouth breathing, I mean
I understand. Yeah, I
inhaling through your
understand.
mouth. Yeah. So
Well,
it
is
takes
this
practice.
is this an interesting point? I thought it was my coffee creamer, but it's not. It's actually when I get nervous, I get the the phlegm,
Yes.
okay? And I was working so hard on drinking water. And I usually do a lot of deep breathing. And right before I went on stage, I took a lemon drop just to see if that, I really wonder
Oh,
if it was a lemon drop,
it
sugar or something.
it could be actually, yeah.
Like for the third day, I was struggling with the phlegm, but once I settled in and started watching Shay Bynes speak, all of a sudden it went away. I know it's mental. I don't know how to
Mm,
explain it. Like I'll have no coughing and I'll meet with my therapist. The next thing I know, I'm hacking because it's mental. I'm
sure.
sorry,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
that's good.
That's
But
another area. Yeah, that's
maybe
another
I
area.
wasn't breathing as much through my nose, but that was almost. I almost. I had to work hard to the middle on to be able to talk. And I can watch the video and I can see where I'm struggling. No one else
Mhm.
might not have seen, but I've always wanted to ask someone about that. So thank you. I was like, man, why did that happen? Who would tell me?
Yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, and those things do play a role too. Like if we are nervous or all those things can affect it. The
Yeah,
other thing is food and drink. A lot of times people say, "Oh, you should have this before," and actually, you shouldn't have anything really cold. And shouldn't have anything really hot. It's actually room temperature if you're going to drink
right.
something for the mouth before you speak. But so yeah, it depends on if you feel like it's something that is going on in terms of your mind, where
Yeah.
your mind is, then that could definitely play a role. But test it out and see.
Yeah, and I think it was my mind was worried about my voice because I was on a speaking stage. It wasn't a long, they gave us like 30 seconds. And I got up there and there it was. And I didn't want to clear my throat. I have this 30 seconds to speak my whatever. And I remember thinking I wish then I show it to people and they're like, we can't really tell what it is. I think, well, thank you for I'll pay you later. It's just like, wow. So there was a very severe nerves about that coming. And I think by the third day, like I said, I had a little bit of it, but I sat back and they were supposed to call me back, but I was just enjoying Shay Bynes. And all of a sudden I looked at my daughter. I'm like, I don't have it. So that was one less thing to worry about. So I don't know if
That's
it
so
went.
good. Yeah, and then the other thing is sometimes if our muscles are tense
Yeah,
here as well, that can
that's
also
good.
cause it. Mhm.
That's really good. Thank you. I
You're
appreciate that.
welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so let's wrap it up here. If you because here's the thing that I'm always curious about, and I mean, I know as a speaking coach, but I many people look at, for example, investing in their speaking skills, and they see this as, oh, what the cost is instead of looking at what the payoff is in terms of what the result is in that,
Right.
but also the investment that you made to get certified or even to go through that whole process. Would you say that that was worth it? And I know that you have invested in other programs and things like that, but
Yeah.
for the value that you received for that training as well as the 2 day, how would you describe that?
Well, I believe the kingdom of God involves investing. So if that's Facebook ads, you're investing. And there's certain things that I think you should invest in that one, you hear God's call to invest in it. Like I did invest, and I just out of it of a major mastermind that cost a lot of money,
Mhm.
but there was a reason for it. I'm not in it anymore. So if regardless if you think speaking is your sphere of influence, you got to invest. I mean, you're talking about mentorship. You're talking about, I'll never forget it. If I can share this about investing, it was last year at Activate. It was the Kingdom Alliance's conference, and I was kind of like, I had just gone through the Speaker Academy, so I was kind of on a high, but I was really just trying to figure out Girl Power Alliance, okay? Because I didn't really get into leadership right away. Someone didn't take me under the wings, but I'll never forget it. This is what I saw. I saw Michelle Schaefer on stage, and I heard God say, she's kingdom. You need to follow her. I saw Michelle Tufford. God said, she's a kingdom friend. And we just met. You need to invest and stay with them. So I say all that to say I've been in and out trying to work the business, so to speak. But I think you got to find, what are you being? Where do you need to be? And all those months, I felt like I was banging my head in the same place in the wall. I wasn't being where I should be. So now with the speaking and the other opportunities after the speaking, I know where I need to be. So if you know where you need to be, investing, don't be afraid. A credit card is an investment. You can pay that credit card off if it takes a credit card. I'm not against that. I'm not against consumer debt, but that's not consumer debt. That's investing. And sometimes you don't have the money. So if you have a third one, I will go. Because another thing I learned in a coaching program is they say, go to the free stages, pay for the stages, and bring a videographer with you or hire a videographer. You are developing content and you're developing your skill. So
that's so good. That's so good. And now you are using it on the radio again as well. So
can I share that? When I came back to the radio, it's really amazing. We get to talk 4 times an hour. In the old days, we didn't even get to talk 2 times. So and we're required to create scripts so we don't go all over the place. Lisa, I kid you not. I thought as I sat down that Monday, I'm like, I've been Caroline Leaf on the radio. I've been talking way too fast. And so I really slowed it down, because there's some pieces that I go deep into scripture and explain it. And I'm like, ooh, they need to sit in that. Don't be afraid. Just let them sit in it. So I can't tell you how my radio has improved. You got to tell Michelle Schaefer that, how it's improved since you guys, in a fun way. I mean, it was fun to be called Caroline Leaf in my talking. I had no clue I was going that fast. All I knew is, this is so exciting. You know, I can't believe how exciting this was. And I was talking probably like now a mile a minute.
Yeah, no, it's so good. And but here's the thing is that we have excitement and passion is good, but when it comes to speaking, we have to be mindful of it. Are we leaving room for people to actually process what we're saying? And I think people listening today could probably relate to that in their own life, the times when maybe they get excited or just speaking fast because of nervousness or whatever. And that's okay. But I just want to leave our listeners today with this thought. And wherever you're listening to this, whether it be on Theresa's channel or my channel, you reach out to one of us. And if you're interested in the Kingdom Speaker Academy, I encourage you to don't delay, because communication is by far the best investment you can ever make, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you're doing in life, whether it be for speaking to your children, your spouse, your community, at work, a business, whatever it is, being on radio. Communication is the skill that is actually the highest paid skill on the planet.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I always say my motto for the last 10 years has been, speak, the world's listening, online. So like, this is a stage. Some people get caught up on being on a real stage. Yeah, there's value to that, but there's stages that people need to go into. You need to go into on YouTube. What's your channel on TikTok, or where's your channel to speak?
That's
I
right.
think Michelle Tufford's a great example of that, because every day on her Facebook group, she's either interviewing people, she's speaking. If the stage scares you, start right like this. And wow, you'll see an improvement in your confidence. And if you flake out, that's okay. It's all part of the process.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Theresa. Pleasure to always connect with you. Any last words you want to leave with our listeners today?
Just follow what God is saying to you. And he may be calling you as a speaker, and you're letting the saboteur of your voice catch you. The saboteur is a force, a doubt, an entity, whatever. And I think you can beat that. I think you can unlock your voice, because good news is on your lips. Freedom is your story, and rescue is your mission. And that happens with your voice.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you share this and get in touch with myself or Teresa, whoever's channel you are listening to, and take some time and ask yourself, where do I need to grow as a speaker? And then reach out and find the people to help you do that.
It's
And
good.
we're here because your voice is an instrument of transformation and needs to be heard. Bye, everyone.
So you can imagine, I just backstage here grinning ear to ear, fighting my cat off. So if you're listening like live on the podcast, there is something coming up tomorrow, but just mark your calendar because it's not just going to be tomorrow. My friend Michelle Tufford and I are getting together for a Kingdom Speakers Take Notice, Transform Lives, and Get Paid. It's kind of like giving you some insights on finding stages and speaking on your Facebook page. And basically, sorry, my cat's in the way. Basically, they're going to start up another Kingdom Academy, but why don't you through the summer get some tips? That's our heart, Michelle Tufford's and I's. So we're going to meet on Thursday. So tomorrow, excuse my cat, those on the podcast, you're missing all this fun stuff. So tomorrow at 5:30, let me make sure, she's Pacific time. 2:30, what is it? 2:30, 4:30, 5:30. Is this just like too much fun? I am fighting my cat, literally. So let me get back over there. So join us tomorrow. Now, Michelle Tufford's Facebook page, you can look up her profile, Michelle Tufford, and look on the left side and you'll see her group. Her group is kind of a long name. I'll put it in the show notes here. And really, I mean, I couldn't stop grinning as Lisa was talking to me, and as I was fighting my cat. It's like, you get opportunities where it's like you get to be something, and something that God's challenging me on is like I'm always praying and God, I want this, and will you let me make it on this stage and yada yada. But God's kind of arrested me in a book, and He's like, why don't you ask where God needs you? It's like, oh, yeah. See, you have a gift and God needs you in a certain place. So if God needs you, He's more than ever going to give you the grace, hello, to go there. So, like it was this morning, I was praying again. I'm like, okay, personality is my purpose. Okay, it's not about a paycheck. Well, that's pretty cool because some of these places you don't get paid to speak, and some of them you do. And then it's like, where does God need you? Where does God want you? Think about that. Might not be speaking. Where does God want me? Where does God need me? It's just a total different way of looking at things that I think is so powerful. So if you want to check out the latest on my speaking, go to teresacroft.com/speaking. That's been fun. And, if you really want to speak, and at the same time join a community, then please get in touch with me. And one thing in my talk at the Kim 10 that I shared, that I'm going to end with this, is as I was using the point of fight for your friends, I think this is where the Kingdom Alliance is so powerful with their community for training. It's like mentorship. I discovered, I was studying this hormone called oxytocin. I didn't say oxycontin, oxytocin, which serves as a transmitter. And if your oxytocin is in the context of relationships, it has everything to do with empathy, trust, and bonding. Now, if your oxytocin is low, there are serious side effects. You could have high blood pressure, heart disease, not to mention your weakened immune system, not to mention loneliness, anxiety, and depression. I had a period in my life, which is part of my story, where oxytocin was like so low. But I believe my voice kept me from those top three: high blood pressure, all the real tough stuff, heart disease. But let me tell you, I dealt with loneliness. I dealt with depression. and anxiety. I remember my last 5 years of my marriage, I hadn't read the book, The Body Keeps the Score. I would get up and I'd feel like there was this huge weight on me. And I had a choice. I could choose to go back to bed, but I chose my voice. I got up, got my coffee and Jesus, and was able to continue to reclaim my voice in the midst of a difficult situation. So I believe in you. I believe you have a voice. I believe God sets you apart. And he's like, while you were being weaved in your mother's womb, God's like, I got a speaker in there. I got a writer in there. I got a musician in there. And then just say, God, where do you need me? Where do you need me, God? And bless me with the cat whose tail wants to get in the picture. I'm sorry, you on the podcast just can't enjoy this. So listen, tomorrow or just message. Those of you watching live, a cat has a power to knock you off. I'm trying to get him off my desk. Can we have some humor here? Now he's going to the other computer. Nothing there to bother. Just, I mean, this won't be on the podcast, but that was just kind of cool. I couldn't figure out which mouse he had hit. Would you like to see him? Why not? Come on. This won't be in the podcast, but let's go. This, my friends, is Peaches, and he's robbing my podcast. How can you hate that? And it seems like whenever I go to the computer and whenever he hears an anointed voice, see, he heard Lisa yesterday during my podcast, or Monday, or Friday, I was interviewing Sarah Woolgamuth, and he was right there enjoying it. So that's a little extra there, just have a little fun. Someone will have fun with that one. So listen, I so appreciate you. So this is Unleashing Kingdom Voices. I'm so glad you could listen. Check the show notes, theresacroft.com/speaking. And this episode is brought to you by dailypayrevival.com. I'll talk to you in the next episode. And hey, your voice might just need to be unleashed.